Now, there's an excellent report over at Sludge as to why the DNC is so vociferously opposed to the candidacy of Senator Bernie Sanders, and more importantly, his policy positions, his policy ideas. And it turns out, according to some very good investigative reporting, we find out that the entire DNC Budget Committee is made up of corporate lobbyists. Those corporate lobbyists, of course, appointed by the DNC chairman, Tom Perez. So now, the Budget Committee, by the way, is very important. They handle the purse strings. They handle the spending. They approve all the spending of the DNC, and no surprise, a lot of that spending ends up going to connected consultants. So now let's get into some of the details of what the Sludge found. So they write, the DNC Budget and Finance Committee, whose members are appointed by Perez and the Executive Committee, is charged with approving party expenditures over $100,000, reviewing the budget on an ongoing basis, and making periodic reports. The DNC bylaws call for the committee to work with the national chairperson and executive committee on disclosing leadership of contractors and the avoidance of conflicts of interest. So understand, that's what the DNC committees say, right? The bylaws. However, they seem to not be following their own bylaws. What a shocker, right? I mean, don't they also have bylaws and trying to remain, at least have the appearance of remaining neutral in Democratic Party primary processes, right? Well, we all know they don't really care about that. Now, multiple current and past DNC members talked to Sludge, and they told him that that committee is not fulfilling its duties. In fact, according to the members, the DNC is not delivering written reports on the effectiveness of the chair's expenditures, and its minutes on process, its minutes or process on avoidance of conflict of interest are not independently verifiable or publicly documented online. Now, why is that? Well, it's probably because those expenditures are conflicts of interest, because their members are literally lobbyists for big corporations. Now, Sludge reviewed a list of the 10 DNC Budget and Finance Committee members as of September of 2019. And the DNC, by the way, does not make this information public. And so that's why they ended up having to do a lot of digging into this, right? They found that several members worked through lobbying and finance to advance the interests of industries that are represented by the DNC's top vendors. Now, the committee, they explain, contains one fossil fuel industry lobbyist, a powerful former airport retail and construction lobbyist, a head investment banker at a firm behind multi-billion-dollar oil deals, and one fossil fuel industry investment officer. 6 of the 10 are at-large DNC members or party officers who are put forward as a slate by the chair and not individually elected by a state or regional delegation. So this is all insider party politics, right? These are all guys that are already in the club that are appointed to these powerful positions that decide what they're going to spend their money on. And by the way, this is important as well. Michael Bloomberg just made an $18 million cash infusion into the DNC. And so understand that that's where they're coming from, right? So now Sludge also found that the spending the DNC done has gone to representing those industries, shocker, and was approved, again, shocker, by the board. The DNC's fourth largest recipient of this money at $3.7 million is a law firm called Perkins & Coie. Now, their major corporate clients include Amazon, Boeing, Facebook, and Google, 4 of the top 20 spenders on federal lobbying last year, as well as Conoco, Honeywell, and Microsoft. Perkins Coie has deep ties to the Democratic Party leadership as well, provides legal services to oil companies such as Texaco and Valero, and lobbying for a coalition of small oil refineries to be exempt from renewable energy fuel standards. So again, these people, I mean, this company has a lot of sway in the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party that is supposed to stand for science and for trying to get back into the Paris Climate Agreement, for example, which is non-binding. So I guess they can say, we don't really care about it because it's not binding. But also to try to advance solar and wind energy and to get us off of fossil fuels. Well, no, they've got fossil fuel lobbyists right on the board. Now, Perkins Coie's services were engaged last year as well by many leading Democratic presidential candidates. So this is, again, no matter who you pick, you're going to end up getting representation in the DNC for these corporations, right? So now these payments to candidates totaled around $3.5 million from the campaigns of Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, Jay Inslee, and John Delaney, as well as the super PAC of Tom Steyer. Oh, what, you thought Tom Steyer was a good person who cared about, climate change? Turns out, not so much. Who's missing in this? Senator Bernie Sanders. Also missing, Andrew Yang, Marianne Williamson, and Tulsi Gabbard. Only one of those people, by the way, endorsed Bernie Sanders. The rest of them went for Joe Biden. What are you doing, Tulsi? What are you doing, Andrew? Bernie Sanders literally said, hey, you know what would be great right now? UBI. Joe Biden ain't saying that. All right, more. A sludge review of FEC records on March 1st also found that 24 Perkins Coie employees donated over $27,000 to the Biden for President campaign. So that's, of course, through bundlers. These bundlers will bundle up donations from people inside industry, mainly, I would say, executives and CEOs, and then give that full amount to a candidate. Now, 4 of those donations were at maximum. 24 gave to Amy Klobuchar's campaign, 1 at the maximum. Over 100 donated to Elizabeth Warren's campaign, although mostly in small donations under $100. 21 employees gave close to $14,000 to Pete Buttigieg. And although this is interesting, just 2 Perkins Coie employees donated to Bernie Sanders, one of them in 3 different donations of $27, for a total of $381. So look at the difference, right? So Joe Biden gets $27,000 bundled to him. Bernie Sanders gets 3 of these people. Again, Perkins Coie is a Democratic connected firm, right? That represents interest, right? Now, an employee, these are 2 people that are employees of Perkins Coie, are like, no, I like Bernie Sanders. I like what he's doing. So we're going to give $27 to him. So, hey, there you go. That's really the difference. I mean, those numbers are stark. Even $14,000 to Buttigieg, man. Jeez. Now, there's more information here about Perkins Coie. On the first day of this year, the firm-wide chair of their political law practice, Mark Elias, donated $20,000 to the DCCC and the DSCC. These are, of course, 2 Democratic organizations, the Senate Campaign Committee, and of course the DCCC, as I said before, that are not supporting progressive candidates, that support more establishment candidates. And 8 employees of Perkins Coie also contributed nearly $19,000 to the DNC. So now let's get to the vendors, right? Along with top 10 DNC vendors, alongside various payroll and financial services like ADP, Voya, and Util Pro, is voter fraud company NGP Van, which, by the way, NGP Van has denied their services to progressive candidates. So that is very important voting software or voter software, voter outreach software that helps candidates be able to connect with possible donors and supporters. These are regular people, right? Voters. And so you keep that software list to yourself of people, mailing lists and things is really important to insurgent campaigns. And you effectively cut off any progressive to be able to do any outreach within the Democratic Party. And so, of course, NGP Van is a member of this and is represented, of course, by these lobbyists, part of the DNC. Now, digital strategy firm Blue State Digital, co-founded by Elizabeth Warren's campaign manager, Joe Rossbars, took in $538,995 from the National Party. Other noteworthy DNC expenditures include $1.4 million for Amazon Web Services, $1.2 million on Amazon, $1.2 million on LexisNexis, $900,000 for Facebook, $569,000 in investment firm Willis of New York, and $7,742 with consulting firm Precision Strategies, co-founded by Joe Biden's new campaign manager, Jen O'Malley Dillon. DNC Chair Tom Perez was paid $149,000. So they're doing a lot of expenditures on leadership and connected firms, all these corporations, all these firms, and as consulting firms or consultants as well are getting a ton of money from the DNC. It is a veritable pot of corruption. And so, I mean, it's disastrous, right? In total, sludge finds members of the DNC Budget and Finance Committee are appointed by the DNC Executive Committee, which sludge found itself contains at least 17 members with principal positions or past positions representing corporate America. And it's a lot of very connected people. And so it's no surprise why the DNC is putting their thumb 100% on the scale of a corporate-backed candidate. The level of corruption in the DNC is unfathomable. It's total, unprecedented corruption. And understand, though, it's the reason they fight so hard against Bernie. Even if it means Trump gets 4 more years, well, that's okay. These corporations still get paid. They get paid under Trump, no matter what. In fact, they're able to raise money off of Trump. Hey, look at us. We're the resistance. The DNC, you need to fund the DNC. Now, remember, during Obama's term, Obama still had debt, right? When he ran, and he won. He never paid off that debt to the DNC. So the DNC, during Obama's entire presidency, was broken, defunct, and broke. Until Hillary Clinton poured millions of dollars into the DNC in donations. And of course, the DNC massively favored her and you could say rigged it, rigged the primary in favor of Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders. And so I don't think saying rigged is really off the mark on that. But I know some people get a little bit triggered when I say that. How dare you say it's rigged? You're like a Trumper. Ridiculous, right? And so, look, this is the problem with the DNC, right? They follow their paymasters. And corrupt people like Tom Perez will use their power to appoint people who are also corrupt, just like he is. And so everybody gets money. And the thing that they were most afraid of in this primary is Bernie Sanders, which is why they all rallied around Joe Biden, Bloody Monday, right? Everybody who received money from this rallied around Joe Biden so they can continue making that money. Bernie Sanders would burn out this corruption. He would clean house completely. No more Tom Perez, right? No more corporate interests, no more lobbyists, no more taking corporate money. And would turn this would turn the DNC into an organization that would actually represent people instead of corporations. And of course, that was just too much for them. And so they had to do everything they could to block and destroy Bernie Sanders. And so without any sort of change in the DNC, this corruption will absolutely continue under Joe Biden and any other Democratic president.